Hey guys, my name is Lilly and today I want to build another survival bow, and the only thing that I have with me today is this arrow that I've made about half a year ago. So this is a primitive arrow, it's just a hazelnut stick, and I've glued on some feathers, and I used some sinew to wrap around the feathers, the fletching, so that it doesn't come off when you're shooting the arrow. So I only have one arrow and my knife, and I have a little bit of paracord in my backpack, and the goal today is to build another survival bow, or let's say a bow that I would use if I do not have a lot of time for carving. So usually a bow takes like 2 or 3 days to make, and even experienced bowers need at least 24 hours to make a good bow. But in a survival situation you do not have so much time on hand, so I'm just quickly gonna carve a green bow from these hazel bushes that you can see behind me, and I want to get it done in less than 4 hours. Okay, this stick is a little bit short, so usually I make the bow almost as tall as me, but this one had an odd bend at the bottom, so I had to cut it off shorter. And now I'm going to try to make the middle piece much shorter, and I try to start the limbs much earlier so that I get more length of the limbs, and so that this will still be a very strong bow. So first I take a look at the stick, and we have a little bit of a bend in here, so I'm going to use this bend. This is going to be the natural bend of the bow as well. This will be the handle and this will be the front. So one thing that happened to me very often when I was starting to carve a bow was that I was carving to the side a lot, and then the limbs would not fit together anymore. So before I start carving, I make a mark. So this is not too bad, and now we start the carving process. So when you're chopping with your knife, you have to be really careful, because if one chop goes too deep, then the entire bow will break. So you have to be really careful that you don't angle the knife too steep to the bow. It must be a certain angle, and depending on your knife, it can be differently. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my survival knife, I take it at the back like that, and then I just gently chop away the wood. So here we can see the center of the wood, and there's a little bit of this bulb in the center, and I'm using this line as a marker, so I know that if I carve along this line, that the depth of the wood is the same. So here at the end we are still too thick, and I'm carving away a little bit of this wood so that the line comes out. Okay, so the first step is done. We have removed a lot of wood on the belly side, and the next step is that we want to taper the limbs. We want to make them thinner and thinner as closer we come to the ends, and that's because you don't want to have a lot of mass here at the ends, because then your bow will become very slow. So here you want to keep them thicker, and then you taper the bow down so that you have really thin tips, and this is what makes a fast bow. So here I have a knot at the side, and when you're having knots, you do not want to cut them away, you want to carve around them, because otherwise this will get a weak spot and then you will risk breaking the bow. And this is green wood, by the way, so it's very easy to carve, doesn't need a long time to make the bow, and also it's a little bit more forgiving when it comes to mistakes. So for a survival bow, a green stick, a living tree, is probably the best option. You can make a bow from a dead tree also, but it will take more time. Also the wood is harder to carve. So yeah, it really depends on the situation. If you are in a long time survival situation, and if you have enough of calories, you can go for the dead stick and take a little bit more time when you're carving. So I have a little bit of a weak spot here, and this is the spot that I'm not going to touch anymore. So I have taken a piece of charcoal and I've marked the stiffer spots on the limbs, and this is where I'm going to carve away a little bit more wood.
Brave Mucki.
You're a prepper, huh? So I'm noticing that with every shot the bow gets weaker, and that's normal for green wood. And also I have developed a weak spot here. I didn't see that before, so it came when I strung the bow. Because of this weak spot, this bow will probably break with 30 or 40 shots. I did not count the shots that I've made with the bow, but the first couple of shots were really strong enough to kill small game. But unfortunately I developed this weak spot here that I was not aware of when I was doing the tillering, and with every shot this part bent more and more, so now it broke. But you know, a survival bow doesn't have to hold for 1000 shots, so if you can get some animals with the first 5 shots, then you will be fine. And now what you could do is you could break off this limb, then you make a second limb that you just attach to the other one, which is still fine, and this will take you about 1.5 hours, and then you can still shoot this bow. And that's the great thing about survival bows. You can quickly make them and carve them, and if they break you just attach a new limb, and then you can use the bow again. Yeah, I gotta say I'm really surprised that it was so strong. At the beginning it felt like 32 pounds. You could even hear that the fletching of the arrow was making this sound. And yeah, I believe it would have been strong enough to kill small game. Now, in a survival situation, I would probably try to carve something like this if I can find the adequate wood, but you cannot really practice with the bow because the first few shots are going to be the strongest if you take green wood. If you want to get more shots out of your bow, then it's probably better if you switch to dry wood, but it will take a longer time to carve a dry stick. So everything comes with a pro and con, and you always have to adapt your survival strategy to the environment that you are in. Okay guys, so this is it for today. I really want to thank you for watching, and if you want to see more videos about basic wilderness survival skills, then make sure that you check out my playlist with the same name on YouTube. Thank you so much, and stay tuned till next time.